Hello, once again, White Sox fans. Happy to be coming to you. A lot has changed just in the last handful of days. A lot of the comments that I'm going to be replying to in this one are a little bit out of date, but I'll still comment on them. First off, I want to say a big thank you. We'll call this a 300th subscriber special. Adam McCall, you ended up being subscriber number 300. I really am just so humbled and impressed and surprised at the ability to connect to so many White Sox fans. I'm a guy who grew up on the north side, so I definitely did not have a lot of people I could talk White Sox baseball with until I went to school on the south side at Columbia College. And of course, then met a whole bunch of great friends who are still very good friends to this day, White Sox friends. We chat all the time, but it's been really a blast to communicate with so many of you, and the feedback has been so positive. And I just want to keep that positivity going, especially because there's so much fun stuff to be positive about. Let's talk about some potential free agents that the White Sox could have or should have targeted, who just in the last week have signed elsewhere. And there's more than you would expect, especially in this very slow offseason where free agency just was not moving along very fast. The White Sox are one of the most active teams. The Padres easily are the most active, but the Mets and the Blue Jays are really starting to come around as well, especially the Blue Jays lately. So first off, good job, Angels. You finally signed a pitcher. The team that has the best player in baseball and has had him for the last decade, who has never been able to make the playoffs even one single season in a single game wild card even. The Angels have always been so bad at trying to go after pitchers. I don't understand it, but they ended up signing former White Sox and more recently former Cub Jose Quintana. I would have really liked to have him back as our fifth starter, maybe fourth starter, depending on how Dylan Cease is doing. He's a guy that is just solid, especially at this point in his career. He's not an ace of the staff, but he really was amazing with the White Sox. He dealt with some ineffectiveness and some injuries with the Cubs, but still he seemed like a good candidate to join the White Sox. And the fact that he signed in Anaheim for just $8 million for one season, for that price, the White Sox absolutely should have been in on him. And there's even the chance that he would have taken less to rejoin the White Sox. As far as we're aware, as members of the public, he enjoyed his time with the White Sox. He loves Chicago. This one was a puzzler for me. How did Quintana sign elsewhere for just $8 million? It does make you wonder, is the White Sox front office paying attention to the starting pitching market at all? Because if he was available for that, the White Sox should have been in on him. Kirby Yates signs with the Blue Jays. There were two relievers that I have been campaigning very hard in this offseason to join the White Sox. One of them was Hendriks, so yay, 1 for 1 there. But then the other was Kirby Yates. I was really hoping that he would come to the South Side to try to rebuild his value coming off of a season lost to injury. He ends up signing in Toronto for a smart deal from the Blue Jays' perspective. His base salary, I think, is only $5.5 million, but he can earn another $4.5 million. So at the maximum, he could make $10 million this coming year. But that's if he's effective, that he's fully healthy. And for $10 million for a fully healthy Kirby Yates, that's a really, really good price. Just like Archie Bradley signing with the Phillies, Kirby Yates has a much more clear path to be the closer of the Blue Jays, which would not be nearly as likely on the South Side. So I'm guessing that's what he prioritized, having the ability, even if it's not completely explicitly given to him, he's got a much clearer path to be the closer for the Blue Jays than he would have for the White Sox. All right, now these next two hurt a little bit more for most White Sox fans. I'm going to first get into the one where, to me, I was happy it felt like a bullet was dodged. George Springer. A lot of White Sox fans wanted George Springer to come in and play right field for us. Now, let me just admit the obvious. If George Springer was on the White Sox in 2021, would the team be better or worse? We'd be better. There's no doubt about it that he would improve the team. But we are looking for a left-handed bat. We would not be able to get Springer for anything less than a monster contract, as of course we predicted, but then we saw it come to fruition. Let's take a quick look at what we have currently on the White Sox and why I was not a fan of signing Springer. So as we see in this graphic, we see all of the position players for this coming year and how long we have them under contract. Jose Abreu for the next 2 years through 2022. Nick Madrigal did not even accumulate enough at-bats last year for it to be his official rookie season. So we have team control over him through 2026 just through the regular process. No contract extension yet. Tim Anderson we have through 2022, but we have club options on 2023 and 24. Yoan Moncada, similarly, he's signed through 2024 with an option for 2025. Yasmani Grandal, We've got him through 2023. The White Sox have done so great with their contracts. We've got Eloy through 2024 with club options that could extend his stay till 2026. Luis Robert through 2025 with options through 2027. And of course, Adam Eaton is on for just this coming year, guaranteed, but we do have an option on him for the following year. I anticipate that being declined. When talking about our entire minor league system, rookie ball, single A advanced, double A, triple A, if we are going to start bringing our position players up through the ranks in the next coming years, there's no place for them except for right field right now, and of course, designated hitter. I probably shouldn't have even put Zack Collins in there, but we do have him through 2026 as it stands. Similar to Nick Madrigal, there's no extension for Zack Collins. That's just how long we would have him if he played every day starting this coming season. We really only have right field. Soon we'll have first base available, and we have DH open. If we sign Springer, that would completely block up right field. Now, yes, it's possible that Eloy Jimenez goes to the designated hitter spot, but in the short term, that might be a spot occupied by Vaughn. Will Abreu still have anything left in the tank in the future where we do want to keep him around beyond 2022? Time will tell on that one. We certainly don't know. But really, I just don't want to fully block up a position to a very expensive veteran, one that I personally am not 100% sold on. He's getting so much attention just because he is the biggest bat on the market. He's not one of the elite hitters in the game right now, but he's just getting so much attention because, hey, he's in the news. His career on base plus slugging is just in the mid 800s, which is certainly very, very good, but is it worth 6 years and $150 million? I would say no, especially if that does get in the way of us being able to have other financial flexibility moving forward. I compared a lot to when the White Sox missed out on Manny Machado. Now, obviously, Manny is a star as well, but the amount of money that we were offering and the amount of time, I felt like it was a great blessing that he did not end up signing with us. On the other side of the coin, Michael Brantley. What happened there? He ends up going back to Houston, signing a 2-year, $32 million contract. I was actually hoping that if the White Sox could get him for 2 years, $16 million per year, that would be really an ideal fit. And I didn't think it was going to work out. I thought he'd have too much competition. He'd end up getting a third year somewhere. But he ended up signing for exactly what I had hoped the White Sox would sign him for. That said, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. Did he just love Houston so much he really wanted to go back? He was really heavily courted by the White Sox just a couple of years ago, and the White Sox were even seen as the most likely landing spot for him. So I do wonder what went on behind the scenes. Maybe the White Sox front office and Brantley just didn't get along, because he does fit exactly what we're looking for. Somewhat high average annual value contract, but only for 2 years, and he's a left-handed bat, a very capable guy. I think he would have slotted in so well as our designated hitter. So yes, I would have absolutely loved Brantley to join the White Sox for this coming year and the year after that. But yeah, now we're going to have to get creative. One other signing that happened that of somebody that hopefully was on the White Sox radar was J.A. Happ. He ends up signing in Minnesota. I guess the silver lining on most of these signings is that these players have not signed within our division. So yes, we didn't get him, but at least we're not going to have to compete against him, except for in the case of J.A. Happ. He is like a Jose Quintana-esque pitcher where he would fill that role of a veteran presence, a guy that could eat up some innings, not a game changer, but somebody that could solidify that rotation. Right now, the remaining starting pitching targets are Trevor Bauer, followed by Jake Odorizzi, and there's a hell of a chasm between first place and maybe your next top pick. Hopefully the White Sox are actively trying to get one more starting pitcher, ideally through free agency. I don't like trading away the farm system, but in time, some of these guys are going to be expendable because we do have a very locked up lineup. Getting to some of your questions and comments, Ryan Foster asks, do I think Yasiel Puig could fit into the right field for a year? I don't think we have a need for Puig. If we're going to be, I don't see him as that much of an upgrade over our current platoon of Eaton and Engel. Of course, Puig is also a right-hander, so he would really just be pushing Adam Engel out. So we'd be replacing Engel for Puig. Puig might have more power. He's nowhere near as good of a defender as Adam Engel is. I just don't see the need at all. Minor league deal, okay. I don't even know if he'd be the first minor leaguer called up. And he's just such a question mark after missing all of last season, not being with a team at all last year, so he didn't even get to work out in major league camps. I said it in previous videos. He's a guy that can carry a team, that can catch fire and really be a big positive and exciting presence in a lineup, but there's also lots of mistakes he makes, and you start to wonder, do his mistakes outweigh his performance? And I just don't think the White Sox really need that on our team. He is a Cuban player, so that would add to our legacy of having great Cuban players on the team, and maybe that would make him more interested in doing whatever it takes to play with us. And who knows, maybe that could be a motivator. So I'd love to see him rebuild value somewhere. I lived in LA when he came out and just took over the baseball world. It was so exciting, his first season in the big leagues. But he's kind of been a little bit of a disappointment ever since then. Nick L helped me out in the last video where I pronounced Norge Vera as Norge, which I was mirroring somebody else that was talking about him. This is what it's all about. I'm not right about everything ever. It's always a learning process. This is all about building the community and sharing information. It's something I'm really big into, passionate about in other fields as well. I'm just somebody sharing my opinion, and I'm so happy for you all to share your opinion and information with me. And this is how we all become better, more informed fans, is we help correct each other and listen to other people's insights. So Nick, thank you for pointing out and correcting my mistake. It helps me become a better YouTuber. Dylan Barnes asks, do you see us extending Giolito soon? Personally, I think we sign him to a 6-year contract and he spends the rest of his career here. I love that not only does he talk about extending Giolito, but he talks about what an extension would look like. And that's actually a great idea for a future video that I will do because of this comment. What would a Lucas Giolito extension look like in a very realistic kind of way, knowing where he's at, where his talent lies, and where he's at in his current career and his arbitration process and all that. Dylan mentions extending him for 6 years and spending the rest of his career with the White Sox, which of course, wouldn't it have been great had we kept Burley so he could have just only played with the White Sox and we wouldn't have to see him play in Tampa and then the Blue Jays. A 6-year extension for him would only take him to his age 32 year. So that extension alone wouldn't be enough for his full career. But I don't see the White Sox extending him longer than that. And in fact, I think 6 years is a weird number for him, where he would be when he would then hit free agency next. For him, ideally, he would want to do it 4 years. That way he'd be free agency at age 30, going into his age 31 season. Also, if the White Sox do this extension now, and I've heard that there's some news out there that it's unlikely to happen, but I'm still pushing for it. If they do it now, he'll have these escalating numbers that will cover his first 3 years in arbitration. One will overwrite the current year. Of course, if he signs an extension, he won't be going through arbitration again. But usually when players sign these extensions that cover their arbitration years, the contract still mimics arbitration a little bit, where it escalates at first and then hits that max level and then rides that out. That would be very valuable to the White Sox because when he's at his peak, the luxury tax hit that would cause would be below that. I'll show an example right here, where you see the first 3 years and then the next 2 being at a higher level, but what the overall luxury tax hit would look like. And again, I could see him really wanting to become a free agent again at age 30. That gives him a chance for one more longer term contract that he would sign while still in the prime of his career and be able to bring in some really big money. Talking about a future video, what do you think a realistic Lucas Giolito extension would look like? How many years, and what would the number breakdown be? Blank Name just has a really good, first off, name, but also a good point about Liam Hendriks, that his stuff has gotten better as he's gotten older. Check out his velocity splits. He's been throwing harder than he ever has in the last 2 years. Again, just more stuff to make us believe the Liam Hendriks of today is a whole different picture than what he was at the beginning of his career when he struggled more. Cooch Maldonado says, when asking for future players to join the White Sox, either Michael Brantley, obviously I'll commiserate with you over that one, or Nelson Cruz for DH, one of them, and maybe one more pitcher, maybe an Odorizzi to help Kopech come back slow, since he's coming back from Tommy John. Okay, so here's the deal, and I've seen a lot of people, whether it's on Twitter or in the comments, talking about Nelson Cruz as DH. So I even mentioned it in one of my earlier videos, but to me, one of the things that was exciting about the idea of Nelson Cruz coming to the White Sox is that we'd be taking a weapon away from the Twins. He's a righty. People are calling him, fine wine. He's the new Verlander. He is just completely still a very solid player, even as he's getting up there in age. However, if you look back at last season, for one, we have a very small sample size, which either made some people look too good or too bad because they didn't have the full season to kind of average out to get a great idea of what the picture of the player really was. And Nelson Cruz was one of them who got off to a blistering hot start, was definitely an MVP candidate at the beginning of the season. And those really big numbers, they helped his overall stats look really good. In September, he actually cooled off quite a bit. You do wonder, month to month, would that trend have continued down? Now, we don't know. He may have bounced back even more had there been a month 3 of the season. But I do wonder, in an entire year, is he going to get off to a hot start and then become a worse and worse player as the mileage adds up on him? Penny 773, rocking a Chicago area code. His wish list is Brantley, not an Eaton guy at all. Adam Eaton is like a wedge issue when it comes to talking about the White Sox. And there's a lot more people that really don't like him and who are really disappointed by his signing than those who are excited that he's back. I'm trying to be in the middle of the road here. He was not the first person I would have gone for if I had the controls. I still think he does have a lot of talent, and he's definitely going to be an upgrade over Nomar Mazara. And fortunately, we're in that place where our team is so good that we don't need another star, but I don't think you should ever aim for less than the best. If we couldn't get Brantley, which we didn't, there's somebody that's still out there on the market that fits so perfectly into being the guy that should be our right fielder. I also don't know if he would really excite the fan base so much, but I think he'd be a better fit than Adam Eaton, and that is Eddie Rosario. The Twins DFA'd him kind of surprisingly because he had a very good year last year. He even got MVP votes each of the last 2 years. If Rick Hahn had a sick day and allowed me to fill in, that might be the one move I make because it just makes so much sense to bring him on. As far as Adam Eaton goes, if you were not excited to see him come back, I get it. If you were excited to see him come back, I also get it. Eaton has the chance to surprise a lot of people, and I hope I'm one of them. I'm cautiously optimistic. But I do get it if you weren't crazy about him coming back. Arc Thunder says, wait, a baseball content creator who's a White Sox fan? Subscribed. Welcome aboard, Arc Thunder, and I'm with you. I have come aboard to fill the role that I was looking for myself. On the GiraffeNeckMarc rankings video, the best part is the arrow pointing up for all these players with the exception of Jose. Still a solid number 2 spot at first base. Yeah, it's so easy to be super excited about the White Sox team, whether you're putting it in comparison to the other players at the same position around all of baseball or just taking them in. It's a great time. After 10 ugly years or more, it's a great time to be a Sox fan. Adolf Espinoza. I believe Roberts was playing hurt at the second half of the season when he hit the wall in a game going for a ball. Adolf is replying to my idea that I said that maybe he was putting too much pressure on himself to try to win Rookie of the Year, and once the pressure was off, that's when he began to hit again. If you know the exact game that Adolf is talking about, let me know and I'll look for a clip of it. Rita Maldonado, Robert Gold Glove, Rookie of the Year, not choked, robbed. I don't think he was robbed. He was neck and neck with Kyle Lewis through the first half of the year. Lewis was not at an all-star level, but he was a consistent and good hitter in a time when Luis really just dropped off. I always loved the hometown cheer. Rita's a big fan and says Tim Anderson will get batting champ again in 2021. I'm with you. I'm right there. He was so close last year, and of course he won it 2 years ago. Hey, no one cares about the Mets anyway. They'll never have what we built. Well, the difference is the Mets right now can buy what we built. Building a team the way the White Sox built a team through their farm system, through those big franchise-altering trades of Chris Sale, Jose Quintana, Adam Eaton back in the day. I think that's the right way to build a team for sustained success. The Mets are coming out with a huge pocketbook. Is that a sustainable model? I guess time will tell. I do love what the White Sox did and how they did it. Kevin N. No disrespect to Kyle Lewis, but no way should he have won that award unanimously. Both he and Robert put up similar numbers, yet one played plus defense and was awarded with the Gold Glove. I don't see how no one thought Robert was Rookie of the Year. I'll go with you on that. I think Lewis should have won, but yeah, how was that unanimous? Blank Name chimes in again, talking about GiraffeNeckMarc. It's okay if you undervalued the White Sox, not like his opinion matters when the team takes the field. 100% true, and that's something I bring up a lot in that video, that the excitement is going to see people like Yohan Moncada, Luis Robert climb up those rankings really quickly. A lot of just positivity. I love it. Peter Bellicera, keep it coming. Sox will win the Central. Easily. Damn right we will. JK Town, keep making these videos, man. Absolutely. I'll do at least once a week. I'm going to try to get up to 2 a week every once in a while. I don't get any income from this. This is just fun, passionate hobby of mine. Mike Luzak, keep it up. Biggie Smalls, 05 White Sox. Go White Sox. Eloy. Come here, Trevor Bauer. Big props to Eloy. What a great season he had last year. Trevor Bauer. I said I would talk about this a little bit earlier. I went back and forth a little bit, wondering if Trevor Bauer was right for the White Sox, and I'm leaning towards yes now. Partially because he wants a short contract. If we can get Trevor Bauer on a 2-year deal, what would that cost? Would it be 35 million a year? Quite possibly yes. And if so, we might get him at his absolute peak, and we'd be paying him for that, and then we'd be able to let him walk away, and we'd be able to get him in at a time where we have space under the luxury cap. It would fill up a lot of that space, but we would still be able to get him in and out before we have to try to figure out what to do. And then, of course, the other question is he so much of a head case that he would disrupt the team? Just like I had talked about Adam Eaton with some other people who had the same concerns about Adam Eaton. I think the team is so strongly built. The bonds and friendships are so strong on this team. You see these guys playing around and having fun together in the dugout. I don't think any player coming in can really disrupt that. So if I said it about Adam Eaton, I'd have to say the same thing about Trevor Bauer. Hiram Noon said the best move the White Sox made was to get rid of Renteria. His last game managed with the White Sox, I think we can all agree, was a miserable failure. Really didn't like how that game was managed at all. For the most part, though, I liked Rick Renteria, and I just don't know what to expect from Tony La Russa. I think this team is so good, it kind of doesn't matter who's coaching. I'm going to really hope that La Russa can manage this team, can manage the pitching staff way better than Renteria did. Until that happens, it's a wait and see. D-Bell23 said the Nick Williams deal is solid. That was a recent minor league pickup. Former prospect who looked pretty good in the major leagues. Not a star, but solid is the right word for him. And it's just great to have a little bit extra depth in the minor leagues. And Abraham Contreras once said Nicky Madrigal injury update. I have read recently that he is pretty much good to go. Nick hurt his shoulder sliding into third base during the season, was out for several weeks. He had the option to undergo an operation right then and there, which would have ended his year. He opted to just rehab it and then play. The thing I love is he went in for surgery immediately after the season ended. So often you'll hear about people going in for surgery around spring training. It's like, well, you just lost your year. If you had only gone ahead and did the operation immediately, maybe you'd be ready to play. And I have really high hopes. He's not a guy that's going to hit probably more than 1 or 2 home runs a year. But, my favorite player growing up was Lance Johnson, and he'd never really hit home runs, but he hit the ball a lot. But he was fast and a good fielder, and this is who Nicky Madrigal profiles to be. Brent MD2 says Vaughn will be the DH moving forward, and I said, yes, he will. If only he was also a lefty, and we have a couple people talking about Eloy sliding into the DH role. Yeah, this is a tough one. Eloy, as I've said in the past, he gets ragged on a lot for not being a great left fielder. And he definitely has room for improvement. Not going to deny that. But I think he's a bit closer to average than people are giving him credit for. Also, the fact that we have Luis Robert covering so much ground, that makes Eloy's shortcomings less obvious. Vaughn is slated to become a DH and probably of star potential. But we might need that DH spot for Eloy. We'll see how Eloy's defense improves or not this coming season. I want to give him one more season to really get a fair shake at it. Because don't forget, he was just a rookie 2 years ago. And then last year, of course, we had our shortened season. Other than a couple of miscues, he was really serviceable overall. I thought he was fine out there. If we need Eloy to go into the DH spot, maybe in a year, then does Vaughn become trade bait? Or will he take over Jose Abreu's first base job? Cooked carnitas already, which sounds great. If we can get Bauer and a couple decent relief prospects, we will be able to make a deep playoff run. That's my wish list. Yeah, I think we do need one more arm maybe in the bullpen. We've got a great bullpen. Bummer, Marshall, Foster, Hoyer, of course, Crochet. This is a very, very deep bullpen as it is. We did lose Cishek, Detwiller, and Gonzalez last year, so I think we still might need one more arm to really solidify the bullpen, but that's an area of strength, which is fantastic. Bo Doran says, sign Quintana and Listella. Listella's positional flexibility affords Tony La Russa to keep everyone fresh until injury or Vaughn is ready. Q wants to stay in Chicago and come at a discount as the 5th starter spot for Kopech or Stever, while providing an additional veteran presence and familiarity within the organization. Lastly, sign Avila or Flowers as backup. We've touched on Quintana. I love that you brought up Listella. He is a very underrated player and a very good player. We got to see him, obviously, in the playoffs last year against us. I don't think he fits with us just because we already have Lurie Garcia under contract for $3.5 million, and he serves that exact role. We also have Danny Mendick, don't forget, and he might already get squeezed out of playing time. Zack Collins, man, we don't know what we have in this guy yet. We've never given him a chance to get regular playing time. We have a little bit of a luxury right now where if we don't pick up a bigger hitter, we could start with Collins being our regular DH or at least a platoon DH since he's a lefty. And if the ultimate goal is to trade Zack Collins, right now he doesn't have very much trade value at all because he hasn't had the opportunity to try to prove himself at the major league level. I really think we give him some at-bats and then we can make a decision from there. Avila, Flowers, they are definitely decent backups. Flowers a great pitch framer, as we know from his time on the South Side. But I want to see Collins get some playing time and give him a legitimate shot, which he really hasn't had. That said, I actually really like your line of thinking on all of these names that you threw out there. YouTube 2006 says, quality work. Overall, I agree with most of what you say, but as a Sox fan, I'll lean towards your opinions. Anderson and Eloy up, Edwin down. Eaton up, but he's biased, so there's a pro Eaton. And I totally forgot we lost Yolmer, and I totally forgot that the Orioles still have a team. That was in response to the GiraffeNeckMarc video I did. Oh, and wouldn't you know it, GiraffeNeckMarc chimed in, good video, dude. I love that you respectfully argued your reasoning. While we don't necessarily agree on everything, it was an entertaining watch. Like you said, they can prove me wrong or right. That's true. Glad you enjoy the channel. Yeah, even though the video I put up disputes a couple of GiraffeNeckMarc's points, for the most part, I did agree or come pretty close to agreeing with him, but it's always from a point of respect. We are just passionate fans. That's all we are. And it's opinion, sharing information and having baseball related conversation. What's more fun than that? Joshua Garina says every Mets fan hates the White Sox. I've actually never heard of that rivalry at all. It seems so bizarre. Different leagues, different divisions. I'll be rooting a bit for the Mets because I like James McCann. In my Blake Snell video, didn't get a lot of comments, but I must have done well. In that video, I put together multiple packages on what the White Sox would have had to give up for us to get Blake Snell. And this, of course, happened after Blake Snell was traded to the Padres. I must have done a good job because the first two comments were one saying that I was giving up way too much to get Blake Snell, and the other one was saying that the Sox don't have a deep enough farm system to get Blake Snell. So complete opposite ends of the spectrum, and I guess my video is right in the middle there. PRNDL asks, I just found your channel. Looks like most of your stuff is related to baseball cards, but you've gotten into White Sox videos. Are you making this more of a Sox channel? The background makes it look like a movie review channel. Just wondering. Yes, I'm throwing all sorts of conflicting things out there. This channel began years ago. My friend Joe Moran and we would do these every other week on Sundays, live chats on Periscope. And then we moved it over to YouTube when Periscope went down. And we talked about baseball news every other week. I'll cut to the chase. This is a White Sox channel now. It's going to be this format, vlogging, video blogging about the White Sox and Major League Baseball as a whole, but primarily the White Sox. And so I eventually moved away. We were doing this in Los Angeles. I moved back to the Midwest. And while we were trying to get the technology, this was before Zoom, I still wanted to put content out there. So I thought, hey, it'd be fun to open some baseball cards on camera. And it was a fun thing to do, and maybe I'll do that once in a while, but primarily this will be a channel that talks about the White Sox. And to quickly address the set, which is still something that's coming together, and I'll get into more detail about this in a little bit, but these are all movies or TV shows that I've worked on. So this is actually basically my other job, and I'm just using the same set. Luke Holtz asks, do I have a Twitter, and how would I get into doing YouTube? I do have a Twitter. It's just my name, Scott Marcus. I'm not super active on there, but by all means, feel free to follow. Not everything I post on there is White Sox related, but probably about at least half of it is. And when it comes to YouTube, I've been on YouTube since the early days, except what was I doing on it? I was telling ghost stories, which is still something I do. It's a huge hobby and passion of mine. So if you do like ghost stories, I will link in the description to my other channel. And in fact, I wrote this book, Voices from the Chicago Grave. More comments just came in, all from the Great Bambino. I'm so humbled that the Great Bambino is commenting. Kluber, no, I know he already signed with New York, but no more Sox signing big names past their prime. Yes, we do have a history of that, don't we? Whether it's Ken Griffey Jr. or certainly James Shields was past his prime by the time he came to us. Jake Peavy was past his prime, but he was still pretty solid. You know, definitely not an ace anymore, but definitely getting paid like an ace. So yeah, I'm with you there. Nothing wrong with liking movies, just ought to have a Sox baseball channel with movie posters in the background. The day job and my career started in filmmaking. It's still something I'm slightly involved in. The bigger the movie, the less I did on it. You've heard of Stranger Than Fiction or Lost or Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Those are really big movies, and I was just a production assistant on them. Small part. But movies like Robotropolis, which you probably never heard of, I was the editor on it. I was the main editor on it. It played in theaters all over the world, just not in America. It was oddly huge in the Middle East and Asia. You just don't really know. Blue Dream, I was first assistant director. The Killing of John Lennon, second AD. Much bigger, high-stress jobs, but movies that you haven't heard of. Best job I ever worked on was Flight 29 down here. It was an NBC Saturday morning kids show, but it was a blast. We shot on a beach in Hawaii for 3 years. What's not to love about that? In current day, I work for the International Screenwriters Association. So if you do want to get into filmmaking or talk about how to write a screenplay, feel free to leave comments, and I'd be very, very happy to continue talking with you about that, because it is still a passion of mine. I will definitely be turning this into a more of a White Sox set in time, but I'm just not really set up for it. This is where I might do some stuff on camera for my day job, and I'm just kind of using the same setup. This will never become a movie review or movie conversation channel, but I will really quickly talk about a funny, because it's baseball related, story about Flags of Our Fathers, which you may know is a World War II movie directed by Clint Eastwood. You may remember the year and the month of October 2005. While the White Sox were in the World Series, I was on the field. Wrigley Field. They shot at Wrigley Field as a stand-in for Ebbets Field, which of course is lost to time. And this is when the war heroes come back and they're awarded their medals and given a standing ovation at Ebbets Field. We filled with, I think, at least 5,000 inflatable extras. So, extras are actors that aren't talking, so they don't really need to be real. So these were inflatable extras that sat between third base, wrapped around home plate, all the way up to the first base line. And so we had 5,000 of these inflated people that were just torsos, dressed with photorealistic masks on, hats and wigs to make them look very realistic. And then we did put real people in there as well. I think basically 1/3 of the audience was inflatable, and then we had real actors fill in. And overall, it saved money. But there was this very surreal moment before the real actors arrived. I think we broke for lunch. It was at nighttime. Everybody went away, and I thought, this is a weird opportunity as a baseball fan, even though it's, Cubs Park, to take a seat behind home plate with 5,000 totally mute extras and just sit in Wrigley Field and be the only one there. And it was completely weird because it feels like you're with a crowd of 5,000 people, but you could hear a pin drop. And I was just sitting there kind of like embracing that oddity, the weird things that you could only ever experience if you work on set. And even more weird, the inflatable dummy that was sitting like right in front of me sprung a leak, and so he just kind of slowly died and fell off the chair in front of me. It was really creepy. But anyway, so that's why there's all of these movie posters. I do want to get some White Sox related stuff. If you guys have any suggestions for what I should have in the background, I'm all ears for that too. So thank you all for being just really wonderful and fun members of this White Sox community. And I look forward to making more videos that hopefully you enjoy. And I'm always all ears to deliver what you guys want to be watching. Talk to you soon, and go Sox.